My name is Kim Temple with Runaway Realty here in Puerto Morelos, Mexico, the best little beach town in Mexico or anywhere else, I think. And you're joining us for Runaway Wednesday. Thank you so much. I see some new faces here, which is awesome, and some face of people who join us quite often, which is even better. It's nice to see friendly faces. We try to provide information for people thinking of relocating to Puerto Morelos or Mexico in general, although we're pretty partial to Puerto Morelos. So thank you for joining us. And tonight I want to go ahead and introduce our special guest who is amazing. Her name is Milly Arceo. And Milly is an immigration specialist, and she's gonna have to tell you how many years. I feel like she looks way too young for how many years she's been doing this, but we have used Milly ourselves, and we have referred many clients to her who have been very, very happy with her services. So instead of trying to figure out the issues and problems surrounding immigrating to Mexico and getting visas yourself, we suggest you work with a professional, and Milly's one of the best. So welcome, Milly. Thank you so much. And I want you to introduce yourself, but also tell us how you want to handle this in terms of questions.
Hello, nice to meet you, everyone. Sorry for the technical problems that we have. As Kim say, a really nice introduction. My name is Milly, and I have been doing these immigration papers for the last 16 years. We are very updated because that's the only thing that we do. We just focus in immigration processes, nothing else, which is, I think that it makes us like really good in what we do because we are totally focused in this subject. And at the same time, we have connection for everything else that you need when you move to Mexico. So in this case, I don't know, like we have been it's not the first time that we have an interview. Maybe this time we can be more interactive, asking questions about everything, because I think that now lately, since COVID, I think that a lot of people that want to move to Mexico, they already know that you already have a little idea in how to apply for the processes and everything. And I think that the more that you want to know is the answers for all the questions that you have. So I will be happy that if you ask the question, and if I know, of course, I will answer. And I am super honest all the time. When I don't know the answer, I prefer to tell you we are not like experts on that part. So please, I will advise you to consulting with someone else for that specific subject.
Awesome.
If everything agree, that's fine. And cheers. I have wine, red wine, because that's my favorite drink. Even in this weather that is crazy hot, it doesn't matter. Yes. I love wine.
Yeah. I'm having wine too. I'm having 3V.
Cheers. Okay, guys. So
I don't know, I think it would be helpful to I'm not sure everybody knows the basic that like when you enter Mexico, you get a tourist visa, and then there are some other kinds of visas. Maybe we could do that basic and then go from there.
Okay, so let's make a little introduction. Okay. So as maybe some of you know how to apply for an immigration process here in Mexico, there are just two types, temporary and permanent residency. All the time people are asking me how to apply for this kind of processes if you are not in Mexico. When you are not in Mexico, the best option is to apply directly in the Mexican consulate of the country or city where you are. It doesn't mean that it needs to be exactly in that city, but it is the most recommendable because, for example, let's say that you are from Canada, but you want to apply in US. Some US consulates will request that as you are not a US citizen, that you bring all your bank statements from Canada, certified by a notary one by one. So that's the reason that it's much better to apply in your own country, in your own city. Also, some consulates, some Mexican consulates don't want to take people from another states. For example, Miami is a big example that is so close from us. Everybody wants to fly from Cancun to Miami to apply for the Mexican visa. But Miami knows that everybody is going there because it's so close. So they decide that now if you don't prove that you have an address in Miami, you cannot apply there. That's the kind of thing that some consulates are taking like steps to don't have all the people with them. Also, there is another way that people want to do it, like they want to go to Belize or Guatemala, that are our neighbors. I don't recommend it either because, as they know, they are very hard, and honestly, they deny 50% of the Mexican visas of the people that they interview.
Oh,
Yes, I really don't recommend visiting our neighbors. So basically, that's the main way to apply for a residency. But right now, there is like another process that is super, super easy to apply if you cover the both requirements. This is in a special program that is in immigration since COVID. That doesn't mean that it's going to be there the whole time in your life. Like maybe this year it could end. Every year they say that this year is the last year. So 2023, we still have it on. And it's in case that you were in Mexico between 2015 and 2021, at least one time, you don't need to have, you don't need anything to prove. Everything is recorded in the immigration system. And if you are here right now and you have a stamp in your passport of 180 days, that is soon to expire or already expired, you can apply for a temporary residency in Mexico without leaving the country, without showing bank statements. That's what I think that this is like a gift because it is a very easy way to get a residency. Actually, a lot of people are getting advantage from this program. But as I say, this program is not going to last forever. Maybe this year is the last year. And if you have less than 180 days, it won't be possible to apply for this program. Because of course, people enter, let's say that you enter today, that is March 29th. We need to wait 6 months until your visa expires. Some people say, okay, what about if I leave and I come back and I request 7 days? No, we cannot apply. If you don't have 180 days, you cannot apply for this program. So basically, these are the two main programs that are right now on, applying in the Mexican Consulate or here in Mexico with the two requirements that I explained. Basically, this is what is on right now. This is what is fashion in immigration right now. So.
And if you are, which probably doesn't apply to most of these people, but if you want to work, what kind of a visa do you need?
In case that you want to work, there are several visas. One is, the typical is that a company in Mexico offer you a job. This company needs to be registered in the immigration office and has permission to hire foreigners. If the company that wants to hire you don't have this paper, they cannot hire you. They need to start this process. Also, if you want to do it this way, like a working visa, you will need to show that you study something similar to the activity that you are going to do in Mexico, like any university title, anything that show that you are someone that we need in Mexico to work here. Also, there is another way, like for example, if you apply in the Mexican Consulate with your bank statements and you get temporary residency, you get your temporary residency, you don't have permission to work. But in the future, you can get permission to work. Whenever you want, when you have a residency, you can get permission to work. It doesn't mean that because you apply with your bank statement, you will never be able to apply for a working visa. And also, I recommend that this is the best way to apply because if you apply showing your bank statements and then you want to work in Mexico, you even can become a freelance. You don't need to be attached to any company because being attached to a company, it means that every year you will need to be working or for the same company or for any kind of company. You can never say, okay, I come in a working visa, but maybe next year I want to be retired. That's not possible to do. If you come in a working visa, you will stay 4 years in a working visa. You will need to find a sponsor for 4 years. So that's what I recommend, to apply directly in the Mexican Consulate. I know that some people don't cover the requirements, especially since the amounts are really high this year.
No.
And every year they will be higher and higher because our minimum wage in Mexico is going up and up and up. And it will be like, if you don't apply this year, next year, maybe it will be more difficult.
Okay. So, does anyone have any questions?
I do.
Miranda, tell us.
Okay, so my husband is working on getting permanent or citizenship. He is half Mexican and he's going through the process right now, hoping to get approval sooner than later. So with the hopes of moving to Mexico, I'm a registered psychotherapist in Canada. So I would like to kind of stay registered in Canada and work kind of freelancing and just work with my clients in Canada until I learn the language, and then potentially do therapy in Mexico because it's not regulated at this point. I think that would be a possibility. I guess I'm just trying to figure out the best route to do that, but it sounds like because he's got a different, we have a different situation than probably most people in the group. I don't want to spend lots of time on it. But I kind of feel like the best route then is for him to do his thing, us get a place there is what I'm hearing. And then I apply at that point for a working, well, I don't want to go on a working visa, obviously, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so to do the freelance thing, then I would need to just become a citizen?
No.
No.
No, for example, let's say that you come to Mexico and you apply for your residency.
Yeah.
So just let me understand, because I didn't hear very well the first part. Is he Mexican?
Yes.
Okay. And are you married?
Yes.
In US, or where did you marry?
Canada.
Okay, so the first thing that you will need to do is get your marriage license stamped by the Mexican Consulate in Canada. That's important that you do it before you come.
Oh, nice, thanks.
So when you come, you can apply directly here. You can enter as a tourist, and then we can switch your tourist status to a temporary resident, because even if you are married to a Mexican, the laws say that you need to be 2 years of temporary resident in order to apply for permanent. So in that 2 years, in the moment when you get your temporary residency, because you are married with a Mexican, next day after you do that, you can ask for permission to work if you want.
Oh.
But I would recommend that if you will be doing this online with your Canadian clients, that you just keep without permission to work, because your money will be received from Canada, not from clients in Mexico.
Okay.
So it will be very easy for you to work online. And after 2 years, when maybe you learn like very well Spanish and you want to start working in Mexico, by that moment you will be permanent. Okay. With permanent, it will be much easier to ask for the permission to work than with temporary.
Perfect.
With permanent,
all my questions.
With permanent, it's almost automatic. Like in the moment that you have the permanent, the next day you can start working. And then you have 90 days to let know immigration. Now I am not just depending from my husband, I work too. And then you will start paying taxes.
Yes.
So your case is very easy.
A little bit easier, yeah. Okay. Okay.
But just to distinguish, like, permanent residency is not citizenship. A lot of people get that really confused.
Yeah.
So permanent resident visa status is just a status in Mexico that allows you to not have to renew your visa every year. And you get some benefits, but you don't, it's not citizenship. You're not voting. It doesn't affect your citizenship anywhere else in the world. It's just a status here.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, Milly. I'm Deborah. I have a question.
Hi, Deborah.
Hello, Milly. I have actually 2 questions. The first one is about temporary residency. I'm in Canada. I know the closest Mexican consulate to me is 2 hours away in Toronto, or 2 hours south in Leamington. I looked them both up, and oddly enough, they're both in Ontario, and they have a $4,000 difference between the wage. Isn't that odd?
No, actually it's not. You know why? That's something important like to mention, because every day I received message saying, please tell me the amount of money that the consulate required for me to apply for temporary or permanent. And honestly, I cannot answer that question because every consulate, and it's crazy because that consulate that you're mentioning are very close.
Yes.
And every consulate has different amounts, even if they need to be by law the same amount. But the reason of the difference are two. Some of them, they have like, they are still using the minimum wage from Mexico from last year. That's one thing. And the second thing is that they take the exchange rate differently in one state than the other state. That's the reason that the amounts in every consulate are different.
But these consulates are only, they're in the same province. And actually Toronto is lower than Leamington, which surprised me.
And you know, but are you like, did you check online or did you talk with someone there?
I checked online.
Because some consulates today, especially for this interview, I was checking like a few consulates online because all of them have information and some of them, they don't have all updated information from 2023.
Okay. Maybe
they still have the information from the last minimum wage.
Okay. So my question is, I make an appointment in Toronto. I go to the Mexican consulate with my paperwork. Now, I'm eligible for the one amount that they have. So I get my
or temporary.
Temporary.
Okay.
So I get my appointment, I go to Toronto, I have my appointment, I have my bank statements with me. Then what happens on that day?
Normally, they will tell you on that day if you cover all the requirements and they will say, okay, your visa is approved. I don't know in Toronto exactly how it is, but normally it's the same day that they give you back your passport. Well, they will stamp the Mexican visa. It's a sticker that they have in your Mexican visa, in your passport.
Okay.
And or sometimes it takes like a week until they give you back your passport.
Okay.
In the moment that you receive that, you can decide when you are coming to Mexico. You have 180 days to enter Mexico.
Okay, that was one of my questions.
Actually, you will see in your Mexican visa the expiration date. That means that you need to enter before. And let's say that your expiration date is in November 2023. Don't enter in November, enter in October. Don't let it like in the last minute. If you get your residency in your passport, don't wait the 6 months to come back. Wait maximum like 4 months. Because sometimes when it's like so close to the expiration date, there is a problem in immigration, the visa is already lost on the system or something.
Okay. So then, all right, so say I get stamped in August. So August, September, October, November. So I come back, I entered Mexico in December, 4 months later.
Okay, that's fine.
Then what do I do? There's one point where you have 30 days, isn't it?
Yes. And actually it's very important, this step that you are mentioning, because in the moment that you have your Mexican visa stamped in your passport and you enter Mexico, it is super important that you enter, let's say that this is your passport. Enter with your passport, opening the page where the Mexican visa is. Because the immigration agent in the airport is not going to be checking all the pages in your passport to see if you are a resident or not. So you enter showing your Mexican visa, they stamp your visa over your visa and just give you 30 days. That's the moment when they give you 30 days.
Okay.
In the moment when you enter, you have two options. If you want to do it alone, because you are really good, because some people can do it alone. They don't need a specialist like me. But let's say the two options, I am going to be very honest about the two options. Let's say that you want to do it alone. So you arrive on a Monday. Tuesday, you go to the immigration office, do the line, get your appointment, and your appointment will be in the day 25 more or less since you arrived to Mexico. But your appointment will be within 30 days since you arrived to Mexico, because the process needs to be started within 30 days. If
So
you
where
exceed
do you
the
make
30
those
days,
appointments?
in the immigration office, depending where you are going to live. If you are going to live in Puerto Morelos, you have the option to go to Cancun or to go to Playa del Carmen, because Puerto Morelos is an independent city.
Where was the second city? I'm sorry, Millie.
Cancun or Playa del Carmen.
Playa.
Okay.
This is just exclusively if you live in Puerto Morelos, that is a special place that is independent and you can choose.
Okay. All right.
So-
So within, so then within, so I say I enter, I go to Puerto Morelos in December and I don't want to do this on my own, then what?
Then, super easy, you send me a WhatsApp message, send me a picture of your Mexican visa with the stamp, and I book the appointment for you in the immigration office. Then we meet the day of your appointment in my office, which is like 2 steps from the immigration office. We do everything on that day, everything. You leave, you go to my office, give me everything. We are together, we go to the immigration office, and on the same day, you get your residency card.
Okay.
And you are totally done.
And what's the ballpark figure for that?
The what?
In the ballpark money. amount.
First, if you are a temporary residency, the government tax that you need to pay is 5,108 pesos. 5,108 pesos.
Yeah.
If you are permanent, it's 6,226 pesos.
Okay.
This is what you need to pay to the government office. Normally, this is paid directly in the immigration office by credit or debit card. It doesn't matter from what country is your credit or debit card.
Okay.
Something
And then-
important to mention.
And then
is
your
that
fee,
my fee normally is 5,000 pesos.
5,000 pesos. So basically you have to come up with 10,200 pesos, roughly.
5,000 pesos in cash, because normally our fee is in cash, but the government tax is with your credit card.
Is with credit.
Yeah,
Okay.
don't bring cash to pay the government taxes. They won't accept it.
Okay. All right.
Something important for the temporary residencies that everybody asks me is like, can I go directly to 4 years? No, with the temporary residency, it is just valid for 1 year, and the year start running since the day that you enter Mexico, not since the day that we have the appointment in the immigration office. So let's
1
say that you
year?
want, yes,
The
1
temporary
year the first
residence is
time.
1 year?
Yes, 1
Yeah.
year the first time. Then you have the option to renew the next year for 3 years. So the first time is 1 year, the second time 3 years, and after 4 years together, you become permanent.
So is there a fee? I imagine there's new fees associated with all of
Yes,
that.
exactly.
Okay.
Government taxes are higher depending how many years you are getting. But the first time is maximum 1 year. You cannot get more.
Okay. All right. So do you know what the renewal for 3 years is?
Every year the taxes raise, but this year, just for you to have an idea, the taxes for 3 years renewal is 9,693 pesos.
Okay. All right.
Oh,
If someone wants to go next, I have one other question, but I'll wait. I don't want to hog it. So
I would like to, oh, go ahead. You go first.
No, you go.
Are you sure? Because I feel like mine's going to be a little long. Millie, hi, I'm Cynthia Fredericks. This is my
Cynthia.
partner. We had a consultation with you in Playa in January of 2020. And
Ooh,
then in February of 2020, COVID hit, of
just
course.
before COVID.
Yes. And so we put it on hold. We didn't come back for a year and a half. We didn't come back. We have a place here in Puerto Morelos. We own a place here in Puerto Morelos. We didn't come back for a year and a half. And then we came, but also I delayed the process because of my interpretation of something you told me during that meeting that I wasn't sure how I could negotiate. But I think since COVID, I'm sort of assuming things have changed somewhat. And the issue was the fact that I was at that time still working, and I actually am now still working, even though I am 75 years old. But I am still working, not a lot. It's, I'm like 3/4 retired. Michael has been retired for years. He's fine. But so this working thing has got me really like, because some people have told me, oh no, you can't. We want to go for permanent residency. I think we, each of us separately, have the finances to go for permanent, and we own a place here. And, I kind of like to get permanent residency before I die, I'm 75 years old at this point. So obviously, so ever since COVID hit, I also am a psychotherapist. It's interesting. You have 2 psychotherapists at this. So
Kind of scary for the rest of us.
So so ever since COVID hit, I gave up my office in the US, in Providence, Rhode Island. I gave up my office, and I have worked exclusively remotely with my clients ever since COVID. Yeah, through Zoom. Yeah, virtually. And like, we're down here now in Puerto Morelos. And although we're leaving in a few days, but when I'm down here, I see people remotely. When I'm home, I see people remotely. The only difference is I have to just keep in my head, what's the time change? Because where I'm from, we have daylight savings time right now. So I guess I'm wondering, has COVID changed that? Like, are they going to give me trouble? So with the bank statements, this was what held me up. I can't just go in there and say, well, I don't work, because if they look at my bank statements, they're going to see like Blue Cross Blue Shield deposited to my checking account $4,000. I mean, do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's what Blue Cross Blue Shield is obviously paying me for something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of my bank accounts is actually a business bank account. And the other insurance company that I work with is into that bank account. So I guess that's my question. Is it, at the time that we talked was pre-COVID, and there wasn't all this digital nomad working, and now there is. There are people who have the capacity, like me and like your other person in the meeting here, who has the capacity to see her clients remotely, not Mexican. Like, this is, the money is being deposited in a bank in the United States for me. The clients are in the United States.
So the question is, can you get a permanent resident visa while still working?
Yeah, that's basically the question. If I'm working remotely and I'm 75 years old, I mean.
But also, do you receive a pension?
Yes, I have Social Security.
I really don't think that you are going to have a problem if you explain that you just do it online. Because the thing that you shouldn't do is lie. Because of course, if they see your bank statements and they see some deposits, they will ask like, what is this? So you can say, you know what, I love so much my job, but I retire, I receive my pension. but I still have some patients that I cannot leave and they pay me online. So I am working normally, like I can work online all the time. Even when I am not in Mexico, I work online.
Exactly.
It is just like, make it look like it's just like entertainment that you're doing. Like,
Mhm.
of course, I really don't think that you do this for like, it's your way of living, right? You just do it maybe because it's something that you really love to do.
Yes, and it is true. I don't want to leave people that I've worked with for years and years.
Exactly.
And so, you know, I'm not useful to them anymore.
And your husband is retired too, like he received a pension.
He receives a pension and he has a number of investment accounts.
I really think that is like for your age, and because you are also retired, you can ask easily for the permanent without any problem.
I should just say though, we are actually not technically married. We do own this condo together, but we're not married.
But in the bank statements, you have separate bank statements.
Yes.
Like you have one in your name and he has one in his name. Then not a problem. You just apply separately.
Okay.
You don't need to be married to apply. The only reason to apply if you're married is because one of you don't cover the requirements.
Yeah.
So
I think
it will
that's
depend.
great.
You will depend from him or he will depend from you. But in this case, that both of you are independent and you have your own things, you can easily apply, especially if you cover the amounts. And I recommend that you really do it this year. Don't wait any more years. Like if we talk in 2020, don't wait anymore. Apply now. Just like an important tip I am going to tell you, because this actually, it happened this week. A client told me, I cannot believe I went to the Mexican consulate and they didn't give me the residency, even if I have the amounts. And the reason is because the consul asked this person, when are you going to move to Mexico? And this person answered, I don't know, like, I am thinking in moving in the future. Maybe I will go 1 month right now, and then I will come back, and then I will go, but I am not moving there forever right now. So the consul answered, just get the residency when you are ready to move forever. So my tip here is that when you are in your interview, say how much you love Mexico, especially if you have properties, how much you love to live in your property, that you want to live in Mexico and spend all your money here in Mexico. That's the most important thing, because if you look like, I am not sure, maybe I will move, I just want to have sure the residency before the amounts get higher, even as a consul, I won't give it to you.
Mhm.
So it's the same, just like that kind of tips are the thing that helps. Just say that you're moving forever.
Okay.
That's a good
And
tip.
that's not lying. They're not gonna go
That's
check
not
your
lying.
passport. You're
We all
not
love
lying.
Mexico.
You're not lying. You're not required to stay here any amount of time, but you just say that in the meeting.
All right, that's our intention, which it is actually. I mean,
I really hope to see you soon here, Cynthia, that you contact me to say, I finally got my permanent residency and we are going on this day and we get it done.
all right, so
Don't wait more
as soon
time.
as we get back to the States, we will start putting the paperwork, make an appointment probably at the Boston Consulate. I don't know if you've heard anything about Boston.
Yes,
Well,
that's a good consulate.
is it? Okay, great. So we'll make an appointment. And then when we get the stamp is when we let WhatsApp you to say we've got the stamps. Is that what we do?
Yeah, when you get the stamp, then in that moment you send me a message and I will congratulate you and tell you all the next steps.
Okay, great. So they really don't care if I'm working a little bit.
No, especially if you say there are some clients that you cannot leave.
Yeah, okay.
Right, and that at your age, you're winding it down, but you just can't cut it
Right.
off right now.
And I am winded way down, believe me.
Well,
I used
that's
to
what
work a lot
I
more.
would say. I'm winding it down, but
Yeah.
I can't do it right away. It's all online.
Good. This is great news because I've been too afraid to go to make an appointment at the consulate. Even people here have recently told me, oh no, if you say you are working at all, they they'll say, well, why do you want to get residency if you're still
I would
working?
say that you're in the interview, don't focus that you are working. So you say, I am retired and everything. And in case that they ask, why is this amount showing here?
I
Then
see.
you mention something, but don't focus your appointment, your interview in saying, I still work, but I am retired.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Now, do you need, in term of this, I'm sorry, the last question about the financial, Michael is like completely fine. He's like, no questions, he'll pass. I don't know whether I will or I won't. It depends on what things you can put together. So when they say a pension, so I have Social Security, so I get this every month from the government of the United States, blah, blah, blah. In the meantime, I have investments. It's a retirement account, but they make you, once you hit a certain age, and when I started, it was 71, you had to make these mandatory withdrawals.
Mhm.
And so, like, that will eventually go away. Eventually, I won't have that once I go through all my money.
Takes many, many years.
Yeah, I know, it does.
In your mid-90s.
I won't be probably alive, but they want you to take it all out before you die. But
I just say, just do it before everything goes up, before everything.
all
You
right.
never know.
So so Social Security retirement from the government and my individual retirement account.
And I would
will-
say that normally you cannot combine the option, but I would say that if you own a property in Puerto Morelos, put it like a support, like the last thing that you put it in all your file that you bring to your deed or something that shows that you own a property. Even
Okay,
if they are not going to take that as part of your investment or anything, but just to show that you really want to live in Mexico, you already own a house.
yeah, we've been living here we've owned it for 8 years now. I mean,
No, since 14.
was that?
But isn't it true that for your house to be really counted as something, it has to be quite a high-end house? It
Yes.
cannot be something in, Selva Escondido
No,
to be really counted as. I'm not being a snob or anything.
No.
It's just what I've read. It has to be a high-end amount of house that you've bought in Mexico for them to really look at, more than that
Sure.
you love Mexico and that you already live there. For them to actually look at your house as an investment, it does have to be quite up there.
yeah, actually, I was just making the amount.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you can see it. Is that in US dollars, the amount of your property?
Well, okay, so
414.
this is the amount.
414,000 US dollars.
Well, that's
Okay.
if you're only
Exactly.
relying on the property. Yeah,
Exactly.
right.
Yes.
So,
Right.
And this is for permanent residency?
No, if you apply with a property, it's just for temporary.
I thought so, because I listened to your the tape that you did with Kim from a year ago, because it's recorded. So 2 days ago, I listened to that. At the time, it was something like 329,000 your property had to be worth.
Mm.
But how do you prove what your property is worth now? I mean,
With your deeds.
it's
But
what
that-
you paid for it. It's not what it's worth now.
Oh, it's what you paid
Well,
for it.
Yeah, this is not something that's used really very often at all. So you
Okay.
really are going to look at the other things.
All right. Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Because
very
your property is worth a lot more now, but we'd have to sell it to show that.
Oh, yeah, well, we don't want to do that.
No.
Okay, thank you
Okay.
very much.
Who's next?
Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, sorry. I'm just going to jump in with a quick comment and a question. And thank you for being here, Milly, and thanks for doing this, Kim.
Thank you.
Sure.
My family and I just had our interview at the consulate, and it was a successful interview. I almost didn't get it, and this actually addresses Cynthia's concern, primary concern. I almost didn't get it because the letter from my employer didn't say that I was able to work remotely. If it had said, that I would have been able to get work remotely, it would have been a fairly easy, straightforward interview process, and I would have gotten.
What consulate did you go?
This was the New York consulate.
Oh,
So the
okay.
main issue was, yeah, the letter says you are actually, I'm a teacher and I'm supposed to be working in physically in New York City, and I shouldn't be traveling or doing work remotely. So I was under the impression that that had I been a digital nomad, it would have been fine. Earning US dollars is exactly what they want, I imagine. And spending it in Mexico. I guess my question is, I'm going to sort of make a long story short. My family and I have the intent of moving to Mexico permanently, but there are complications in terms of that. We do have our Mexican visa now. We hope to enter Mexico in June, and apply at the office in Playa. But my question is, I've heard that if, we have these intentions, but for some reason we can't necessarily spend the entire year, 11 months, say, in Mexico, that they might choose to prevent us from renewing our temporary residency. Is that true? Or are there things we can do to limit that? I know it was true, with permanent residency in the United States, there's always a question that if you're not here for a majority of the year, they'll take it away from you. And this is always up to the discretion of the immigration officer. And I wanted to hear your thoughts. And how would they check, and that kind of thing. So, yes, and that's my question.
I think we lost Milly. She's frozen.
Oh, it's
Oh, no.
recording. And
Oh,
one
there
of
she is.
the
I'm sorry.
And one of the most important things is that you don't need to remain in Mexico the whole year just to maintain your residency. Let's say that you come in June, we do everything, you live for the whole year, and then you come back next year just to renew. You renew, and then you leave again. And you can leave and come back and do whatever you want. And when it's time for permanent, you just do the permanent and that's it. Unless something changed on the law, but I don't think so.
Okay.
Everybody can keep the residency, even if you don't live in Mexico.
Oh, wow.
That's really good news. So, so I have a follow-up question then. We were looking at the cost, the government fees of essentially essentially converting our visas into temporary residencies for every single member of our family, and that the
How
costs
many
add
are you?
up. Well, 3 of us, but one of them is a toddler, and I understand that we would have to keep renewing, in theory, until he turns 18 every year or something like that. Like he couldn't.
How old is right now?
He's 2.5 years old.
And when you come to Mexico, it would be the same age?
He would be 3 years old.
Okay, since 3 years, like he will go, he or she?
He.
He will go exactly as you go. Like if you get temporary, all of you will get temporary 1 year. And then you renew for 3 years, including your kids. And after you will become permanent after 4 years. In that moment, your kid will be like 4 years or 4 years and a half, almost 5 years. And he will have a permanent every 4 years, which is not too bad.
Okay. So he'd have to renew
every 4 years.
Every 4 years. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So maybe you will need to renew 3 times until he's 18.
Understand. Okay. All right. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. And congratulations with your residency.
Good question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I slip a quick question in about the special visa?
Of course.
I forget what they call that, where they actually.
The new program, you mean?
Yes, the new program.
It is called regularization.
Yes.
For overstaying.
Okay, so I'm not in Mexico right now, but I have been to Mexico many, many times. And I have been in Mexico many times during the time frame that you listed here, from 2015 onward.
Until 2021.
Okay, so I've been in Mexico many times in that time frame. Now, if I come to Mexico during 2023. My understanding is that you had to have been there in 2022 and have your 180 days run out. If I come to Mexico, say in July, and let that 180 days run out, am I still eligible for this program?
If you come in July, your visa will expire in January, which we don't know if the program will continue in 2024. Let's say that you come in April. And you have 6 months. So April.
I mean, yeah, it's a risky proposition. Why would you want to do it that way? You know?
Some people do it because they don't cover the requirements.
Mm-hmm. Or they're here and they overstayed
Or
their
they are
visa
here.
and they don't,
Okay,
they can't.
so it's
Yeah.
really a benefit only to people who have overstayed their welcome.
Or they are almost expiring right now. Like a lot of people are expiring like this week, next week, and
Okay.
but we really don't know if the program will continue. Like it could end, as I say, tomorrow or the next month. Like you don't know. Immigration even don't know. If you go and ask the
it
immigration
certainly
office,
wouldn't be my first choice. My first choice is to do the regular temporary
way
residence, because I will qualify for the yearly amount. So I mean, to me that seems the better route to go.
Yes,
but
and I totally recommend that way.
Okay.
And the other thing is, you don't need any kind of visa if you're not going. I mean, if you're really only coming in for a few months at a time, you can come on a tourist visa. You don't have to get a temporary or permanent resident visa.
Right.
If you're going to buy property, you don't need a visa either, but you would need it. We recommend that you get permanent resident visa before you sell it, because then you qualify for a partial exemption, which is a little more complicated. But you don't need, many people have lived here for 20, 30 years without ever getting any kind of visa. They just are on a tourist visa because they come on they only come for, even people who own homes who are only here in the high season, don't get that. I think that there was a crackdown last year, Millie, where everyone got freaked out because it felt like the immigration really wanted you to go ahead and get a tourist or a temporary resident visa, but they seem to have backed off that a little. So I don't know what your take is on that anymore.
Well, I do want to become a resident of Mexico. So I prefer not to do the 6-month installments of my life, but I understand. I understand everybody's in a different situation. Okay, that's good. I'm glad you clarified that, because somebody said no, you can't do that if it's 2023. You can't go there now and let that visa run out. So
you can, if you want. If you come today and we wait until it expire and the program is still on, we can do it.
Yeah. As long as it's before December.
Well, I don't know, because it could end like next month, as I say. Like even to my clients, I am booking the appointments right now. I say maybe at least the moment, like I will let you know 1 week before your appointment. The program is still on.
Oh.
Yeah, it's kind of dicey.
They don't give you a lot of notice when things change here.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
I work primarily remotely and for the foreseeable future don't plan on retiring. And I work for a US company. Can I continue that with living in Mexico, and would that interfere with getting a residency visa?
Or do you, but she just
Well, the work that you do, like when you go to apply for the Mexican consulate, what kind of papers will you show? Your savings, or what kind of papers will you show?
I could show savings, I could show my, my paycheck. I mean, it's, whatever, you would advise would be the best thing to show.
Okay, because if you say that for your work, you're required to be in US, maybe it will be like a rock on the way, because they will say, okay, so why do you want a residency? if you're not going to move to Mexico because you need to be working in US. I don't know if maybe in your company, they can make you a letter saying that you can work remotely, even if it's not true. I'm just saying that you are going
Well,
to
I work remotely now. I go into the office maybe once a week, but I don't have to do that.
But then I would recommend that you show a letter saying that. If you show a letter saying that that your company don't require you to be in US, then you won't have any problem.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other question? What do you think, Kim? What other thing is important to say today?
I think we covered it. We covered the different types of visa, the working visa. Oh, I do think it's important to talk about making those appointments. People, there's like a computer system that you have to use to make appointments here?
No.
And they only, not in Mexico, but in the US, and they only release those appointments like a week before, so it can be tricky for planning purposes.
Oh.
I've had a lot of clients talk about that. I think they release them on Mondays. Is that, Millie, do you know what day it is they release the appointments?
In the consulates?
Yeah.
It really depends from the consulate. Some of they open like the agenda at the end of the month, other at the beginning of the month, other you need to go at 2 a.m. to get an appointment. Like, it is crazy to book appointments.
Yeah, that's the tricky part.
If you are refused.
Is that when people contact us to ask for information about the consulates, we don't book appointments for the consulates because, as you know, maybe some of you have tried to book appointments and it's very difficult. We really don't have time to book in 1 million consulates that Mexico has all around the world. So we do take over your process after you go to the Mexican consulate and then you are ready to move to Mexico. And actually, I recommend that if you want to hire me or hire anyone that you want, contact that person before that you come because it's important that they guide you in every step that you do, even before coming to Mexico. Since the moment that you have your residency, if you want to do it with someone, contact them, ask for all the steps, like come prepared. Because if you skip one step, it will be very difficult sometimes to fix it, or sometimes it makes your process longer and all that kind of things. The good news is that now in Playa del Carmen, all 23 cards are ready the same day, which is like a really good thing because last year you come, you go to your appointment, and maybe 2 months later, you get your residency card. So you cannot leave Mexico for all this time. So it was crazy before. Right now we are like, woo, bravo, like everything is so nice. And also the appointments, getting appointments, like if you hire a facilitator like us, it is easy. But if you want to do it alone, you need to go to the immigration Monday, Wednesday, and Friday around 7 a.m. to try to get one of the appointments.
Wow. So Milly, kind of if I go to the Mexican consulate here in Canada, and for some reason, I mean, they refuse the visa, is there any recourse? Like, do they have to give you a reason why they have refused you, or could I go and try at the Leamington consulate? Like, I don't know how that works. Like,
everything is on the record. All the consulates. But anyways, if they don't accept you in one consulate, you can go and try another consulate. I have clients that they have tried 5 consulates. Not a problem. In the last one, they got what they needed. So you don't worry for that kind of things. Also, something important is that some people ask me, you know what, when I was a young person, like very young, even if you are young right now, but when I was like 20 years old, I had a criminal record because I was driving, like, and I was drinking and everything. Should I say that in my interview? Yes, it's not a problem. It is something that is happened, that it could happen to anyone, so not a problem. The most important thing here is that I think that you are very honest in what you are saying. that you say that you want to live in Mexico, that you are ready to move to Mexico, in case that you're still working, to say that you can work online, that you don't need to be in your country all the time. And basically, that's the most important thing that you need to know, to say, to get your residency. And always smile, don't fight, and be super nice.
All right.
And
Good tip.
Oh, Barb has a question.
Yeah. I was just going to say, you mentioned, Kim, something around you don't have to be a resident to live there and that sort of thing. What are the actual advantages of being a resident? Why would I even bother getting a residency card?
Okay, one is to don't leave every 180 days. That's the principle.
Okay. Okay.
Second is that a skin here is like the major of real estate in Puerto Morelos. She can tell you that if you want to buy or sell, it can help with your residency. Also to open bank accounts, get driver license. If you want to buy a car and put it in your name, you will need to have a residency.
Okay.
And in case that one day you want to become Mexican, having a residency will be the first step.
Okay.
I totally recommend that if you come, even if you just come 6 months of the year to live here and you spend the other 6 months in your country, it is worth it to apply for a residency. You never know when you are going to need it, especially with COVID. That's the reason that after COVID, a lot of it was like my work, it was crazy because some of the people were like, especially Canada and Germany and places like that, you were getting crazy in your countries because you cannot leave, you cannot go to the supermarket, you cannot go things. And here in Mexico, honestly, we were like almost free. So that kind of things. And actually, one client was telling me that during COVID, she's from Canada, that during COVID, she wanted to come back to Mexico. And then she was in the airport in Canada and they told her, no, you cannot go, it's COVID, you need to stay in your country. And she said, but I live in Mexico, prove it. And then she showed her Mexican residency.
Okay.
And that's the only way that she was able to take the plane. She said,
Oh,
without
wow.
that thing, I was going to be like trapped in Canada. So that kind of things have helped. Actually, you know what, some clients, I have this family that they are from US. And I say, what are you getting a residency? Because I like to talk with my clients about why are you moving here and kind of things. And he say, after COVID, I am trying to get a residency in different countries, not just Mexico. Because if something happened again, I want to be sure that I can move here or to Spain or, everybody has ideas in their minds.
Mhm.
But if you're able to do your residency, do it. Why not?
Yeah. Okay.
You also get, you also get,
it's super important that you get discounts.
that's what I was
You
going to
get
say.
a lot of discounts with your residency, even to the ferries and all that kind of things, discounts.
So when you walk into a store, you would just show your residency card, or how do you get these discounts?
Some places, like for example, here in Playa del Carmen, especially because we have the Fifth Avenue that is very touristic. If you go to any restaurant on Fifth Avenue and you say, I am local, you show your residency ID, they will give you normally like 10%, 15%. The ferries,
I didn't know that.
Think, you didn't know that?
No.
Do it always as a Mexican or residency, always when you go to a restaurant in Fifth Avenue in Playa del Carmen, say, I am a local, and give you residency. Almost 80% of the restaurant, they have like discounts for locals.
Oh, okay.
What about taxis?
It's really good for medical care too, because the price goes way down when you show that you have an address in Mexico.
Okay.
Which is nice. Yeah.
Actually, there's another medical advantage that I learned about this January. We came down here in January and we both got COVID, not here. We did not, we got it in the transport down here. And Michael was fine after a day and I was fairly sick. And I always planned, well, I'll just get Paxlovid. I'll get the one of the antiviral treatments. And I had paid for $130, which would have been a lot less if I'd had residency, to ask if I could get Paxlovid here, and you could only get it if you're a Mexican citizen, or Mexican resident.
Oh,
But
The
Cynthia, you get
What?
a discount if you show next time that happens, you just show them your bill, you own a property here. So that's good enough.
That would have been good enough.
Well, that's good enough to get the discount. I don't know if it would have gotten you Paxlovid, but it would have gotten you the
At
discount.
Costa Med, at Costa Med.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I did not know that, Kim. I'm
But
sorry.
now you know, next time, but not next time you will have your residency, so
Yeah,
you
that
won't
would
need
be
anything else.
Yeah, I'm so happy to hear that, because I've been waiting now all these years, feeling like I have to completely stop working before I can do this.
mhm.
No.
Anyway, I'm really happy about it. Thank you.
I'm glad that you actually shared that information with me as well, because I'm retired, but it's funny, we're all in mental health.
Are you?
I will
Yeah,
need all of
but it's
you.
really desperately needed, I think, especially after COVID. But
Really?
yeah, I do a lot of training, and so there's only two of us that have the level of training that I do for people, and in Ontario, that there's only two of us here, so we do it online, and yeah, it's like I just continue to do it because of that reason. Like
Yeah.
I want to be retired, but honestly, I know that there isn't anybody else that can do it, so I certify people in that treatment modality. So yeah. Anyway,
That's
good
very
for
nice
you.
of you, girls. That's
Yeah,
very nice.
nice. Mhm.
And
Anyway.
she practices on me.
right.
I think we probably have to wrap it up because Milly's got
Thank
little
you.
babies.
Yeah.
Aw.
Don't worry. Now I have my wine, my baby. Now my
Okay.
husband to sleep my baby. Actually, he said
Okay.
just stay there more time because the baby's sleeping. So don't come right now, he said.
Well, I've appreciated
Hi,
the
Kelly. Kelly, do you have a
conversation.
question?
Yes, I do. Actually, it's Lynn.
Oh.
Kelly's my other half.
Okay.
Hi,
Lynn.
we are semi-retired, so can we still apply for permanent or do we have to go temporary?
But do you have a pension? Like, do you receive a pension yet or not?
Not yet.
No. Well,
Like we have enough finances.
in what consulate do you are you going to apply?
We're in Canada, so our closest will be Calgary, Alberta.
Calgary is a really good one, but the thing with Canada, and especially with the whole country, is that I don't know what is the thing that the consul has, that they always want the people that in Canada that apply, they want that you are retired, that you show your pension. It is something that Canada has, especially. I don't know why.
Okay.
Mm.
So, as I always say in every interview, is that you ask for the permanent, and the worst thing that could happen is that you receive the temporary.
Okay.
But you always ask for the permanent. In the option, when you're filling out your because when you need to answer, there is one question that I think that is the number 20. It says, how long are you going to stay in Mexico? If you want temporary, you write more than 180 days and less than 4 years. But if you want permanent, you write permanently. Permanently?
Okay.
Okay.
I always recommend to write that you're going to live here forever. And
Okay.
then that's the worst thing that could happen, the temporary.
Okay.
So Milly, you said the Canadian consulates are kind of finicky over whether you have a pension or not, or
Yes.
whether you're retired or not.
Yes, I don't know why Canada is like so special, especially with these things like your age, your pension, that kind of things.
Martine has a question.
Mm.
Martine?
Yes, I'm Martin. I'm from Quebec. And I would like to know when we got the stamp on the visa and we want to work with Milly, we have to, can we call before we get to to Puerto Morelos, or we have to wait to be in Mexico to call you and have the meeting setting?
For the regular way, normally all the clients contact me before they come, and then they send me all the information that I need to prove in immigration in order to book your appointment that you are already in Mexico. So I will need to go to immigration and show your stamp in your passport to prove that you are already here. But for me, what I do is that all my clients send me all the information before. I have it on a list and I know when they are coming. So I book the appointment more or less for the days that they are coming. I cannot book the appointment like right away. Like I cannot book before that you come, but I can do it like, I can have you on the list and have you like on my mind, like where to put you according to the day that you are coming. So we will always find a way in case that you cannot stay so long in Mexico.
Okay.
So we accompany you to the IMN office?
Well, let's let Martine finish her question.
Oh, I'm sorry, Martine.
No, it's okay. The question is the same when we have to, if we have not the permanent, but the
temporary.
The temporary visa, it will be the same thing. We will have to be in Mexico to contact you to renew this visa.
No, for the renewal, you don't need to, like, you need to be here, I mean, but you can be, for example, in Canada, and you say, let's say that your expiration date for your first renewal, it will be in March 2024. You can contact me in January and say, my residency expires in March, and we're going to be there in February. Then I can book your appointment without you being here. The only appointment that it cannot be booked that you need to be here is the first one, when you go to the Mexican Consulate and you get the stamp. All the others, it can be booked if you are not here, and you just need to be here the day of the appointment. And everything will be ready the day of the appointment.
Okay, thanks.
So just so I'm clear, we get our stamp, say a temporary stamp at the Canadian consulate or Mexican consulate in Canada. We give you a heads up that we've received this, we'd like to hire your services, and that we will be coming to Mexico this date. And then you will go ahead, we will get there, then we contact you again and say that we're actually here.
Yes.
And that's when you make the appointment.
Yes.
When we're physically there.
Yes.
And then do we physically accompany you to
the main appointment, not to book the appointment. I book the appointment. You come with me for your main appointment, for the day that they are going to take pictures for you, fingerprints and everything.
Oh, picture and fingerprints. Oh, I see.
Actually, you know what, Deborah, you were talking about coming in December. And actually, I just want to let you know that December is the worst month because immigration closed for 2 weeks. Everyone wants to get everything done before they close, and it's a chaos all the time in the immigration office. So December is the worst month to do it.
Okay, and I was just using that as an example, just getting in under the wire before the new year. So
yeah, normally immigration close around December 17, 18, and they don't open back until January the first week.
Okay.
Okay, I think I really think that we covered everything that is important for you guys. I think that all of you have the places that has enough money to apply for the residency. So please do it before that everything goes up. I have a lot of clients that they say, I really regret that I didn't do it before. So do it as soon as you can. Book the appointment. Sometimes appointments are not right away. So if you call tomorrow, maybe your appointment will be in 2 months. So don't let, as we say in Mexico, don't let for tomorrow what you can do today. Because in Mexico, they always do it, not me, but they always do it.
Yeah, they don't live that way, but they tell other people to.
You know that here in Mexico, everything is tomorrow.
Yeah, mañana.
So that's the best advice I can give you. Like apply this year before everything goes up. Our president in Mexico is like really getting higher all the minimum wage in Mexico every year. So yeah, better to do it now.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, Milly.
Thank you guys.
Yes,
Thank you for
very much,
attending the
Milly.
meeting.
We really
Hope to
appreciate
see you
it.
soon, all
And
of you.
salute.
Thank you,
Salud.
Kim, for doing this and
Of
having
course.
Milly. This was priceless.
No, thank you. Thank you, all of you, for like joining this meeting. And hope to
I
see you
put
soon.
Milly's contact information in the chat box, which you can find at the bottom of your screen. Just click on chat.
Yeah, super
And-
important. I am a WhatsApp lady, so because I am always busy or with kids, I have 2 kids, or with work. So in WhatsApp, I will try to answer you as soon as possible. But if you call me or email me, it will take like a little bit longer.
Thank you.
Actually, I like to write everything because of bad experience, like you didn't tell me, you told me this much, or la la la. I prefer to have a proof that we were chatting and we would agree in everything.
Yeah, good idea. All right, guys, thank you
Bye,
so
everybody.
much. Really
Thank you
appreciate your
both.
time tonight.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you for everything. Thank you for organizing.
Of course, of course. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye bye, there's chat. Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.